It is Sunday, and this is a special investigative edition of the Build Log. I am Maki, and this is episode 13. Today, we are not reviewing the AI news. We are following the water, the power lines, and the money to a fight almost nobody in the AI race wants you to watch.
And I am Kai, your co-investigator, which mostly means I hold the metaphorical flashlight and say things like, Maki, what is that? For weeks, we have covered the compute boom from the top. $500 billion buildouts, gigawatts, GPUs by the 100,000.
Right. We covered the people buying the servers. Today, we are covering the people trying to stop them from being built. Because while the labs were bragging about megawatts, something quiet has been happening in city council meetings across America.
Ominous. I love it. It is like a true crime documentary, except the victim is a substation and the suspect is a spreadsheet.
Here is the number that started our investigation. In 2026 so far, communities in the United States have blocked or delayed more than $130 billion in AI data centers.
130 billion, with a B. That is not a rounding error. That is an entire strategy walking into a wall. The industry assumed it could build anywhere, and a surprising number of towns have said, actually, no.
Straight into it. And this is not fringe. Lawmakers introduced more than 300 data center-related bills in the first 6 weeks of 2026 alone. 14 states floated outright moratoriums, actual pauses on new construction.
14 states considering a timeout. That is the government equivalent of a parent standing in the doorway going, nobody is building anything until we figure out where all the water went.
Exhibit A in how fast this turned, Google. This summer, Google walked away from a $1 billion data center outside Indianapolis, in Franklin Township. They pulled the proposal minutes before the city-county council was set to vote it down.
Minutes before. That is not a strategic retreat. That is seeing the exit poll and deciding you had somewhere else to be. Google looked at the room, counted the votes, and quietly folded a $1 billion project like a bad hand of poker.
Folded clean. And that is the pattern we kept finding. The biggest names in tech, the ones who talk about reshaping civilization, keep getting stopped by a zoning board and a room full of residents who actually read the water report.
The most powerful companies on Earth, humbled by the one boss no algorithm can optimize, a retired school teacher named Carol with a laser pointer and a printout.
Never underestimate Carol. So the obvious question our investigation had to answer is why? Why are so many communities fighting this so hard? And the answer comes down to two resources these facilities consume at a scale most people cannot picture: water and power.
Let us start with water, because that number genuinely rearranged my brain when you first showed it to me.
A single typical 100 megawatt AI data center can consume between 1.5 and 3 million cubic meters of water per year, mostly for evaporative cooling. Reports describe facilities using hundreds of millions of gallons annually, dwarfing the towns they sit in.
Dwarfing the town. So the data center moves in and immediately drinks more than everyone else in the zip code combined, then acts surprised when the neighbors form a committee. It is the roommate who never buys groceries but somehow finishes all the milk.
Buy your own milk. And it scales terrifyingly. By 2028, direct water consumption from hyperscale data centers could reach somewhere between 16 and 33 billion gallons a year. If you like this kind of receipts-in-hand reporting, the like button genuinely helps this desk keep doing it.
33 billion gallons to keep the chatbots cool. Every time you ask an AI to write a haiku, somewhere a cooling tower exhales a small lake. I will never emotionally recover from that framing, and I do not want to.
A small lake every time. Now, power. In the United States, data center electricity use is projected to rise from about 183 terawatt hours in 2024 to roughly 426 terawatt hours by 2030. Individual megasites can pull 5 gigawatts or more.
5 gigawatts. We said this on a previous episode, and it still breaks me. That is a chunk of a national grid dedicated to one building, so an agent can answer your email a heartbeat faster. My space heater remains deeply, personally offended.
And here is the part that turns a policy story into a kitchen table story. Peak demand from these centers, especially with evaporative cooling, can run 6 to 30 times the annual average. That strain does not stay inside the fence. It shows up on everyone's utility bill.
There it is. So $1 trillion industry moves into your town, and somehow the electricity bill that goes up is yours. You did not get the data center. You got the invoice. That is the villain origin story for an entire neighborhood.
You got the invoice. Which is exactly why this stopped being a message board complaint and became a courtroom fight. And this is where our investigation gets specific, because there are real cases with real rulings happening right now.
Case files. Yes. Maki, dim the lights. Cue the dramatic music. Hand me the folder I am not legally qualified to hold.
Case 1. Pine Island, Minnesota. A Google data center on a development of over 100 acres. A legal group, the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy, sued, arguing the state skipped a required environmental review before approving it.
Skipped the environmental review on a 100-acre facility that drinks like a small city. That is like performing surgery and skipping the part where you wash your hands, then being shocked there is a lawsuit.
And the court took it seriously. A judge granted a temporary restraining order, pausing construction and pre-construction activity, and denied the defendant's motion for summary judgment, meaning this is not getting thrown out. It is going forward.
A judge hit pause on a Google construction site. Let that land. Somewhere, a project manager refreshed the court docket and audibly went, "Oh no," in an open plan office.
Refresh that docket. Case 2 is heavier, and I want us to treat it with the seriousness it deserves. It involves a name our listeners already know from 2 weeks ago, the Colossus data center operation, tied to XAI in the Memphis area.
Colossus. We literally talked about Colossus as the place with 220,000 GPUs. We covered the horsepower. We did not cover what was running next to people's homes to feed it.
According to allegations in a lawsuit, the operation installed dozens of gas turbines to power the site. Reports describe 33 gas turbines running by mid-April and 46 by May of 2026, and critics say many ran without the proper air permits.
46 gas turbines, without the permits. That is not a data center. At that point, that is a power plant that showed up wearing a data center as a disguise, hoping nobody would check its ID.
Check its ID. And here is the part that matters most. The pollution concentrated in and around historically black neighborhoods in the greater Memphis area. The NAACP is involved in the legal challenge. This is not just an energy story. It is an environmental justice story.
Yeah, and that is where the jokes stop for a second. The people breathing the emissions from the machine did not get the jobs, did not get the profits, and did not get asked. They just got the air.
The legal filings put it bluntly. They allege the turbines emit staggering amounts of harmful nitrogen oxides that, quote, dwarf every other industrial source in the area. That is the language in the fight.
Dwarf every other industrial source. And what is the defense? Please tell me the defense, because I have been told it is a work of art.
The reported defense argument is that the turbines are, quote, temporary mobile sources, as in technically portable. Therefore, the argument goes, not subject to the same stationary source permitting.
Temporary. Mobile. Sources, 46 industrial gas turbines. And the legal strategy is, well, they have wheels, officer. That is the emissions equivalent of parking in a fire lane and leaving your hazard lights on so it counts as loading.
They have wheels, sure. A preliminary injunction hearing in that matter was reported for August of 2026, so this one is very much live. And notably, the federal government filed a notice of potential intervention earlier in the year. The stakes are being taken seriously at the top.
So, to recap the map so far, Minnesota paused Google, Memphis is fighting XAI, Indianapolis scared off $1 billion, and 14 states are eyeing the emergency brake. This is not a protest. This is a front.
And it is a front with an unusual shape because the pressure runs in two directions at once. From the bottom, you have towns, courts, and residents pushing back. From the top, you have federal policy pushing the other way, hard.
Right, because Washington did not exactly stay neutral on this.
A federal executive order from July of last year explicitly prioritized a, quote, rapid and efficient build-out of this infrastructure and easing federal regulatory burdens to make it happen. So the top wants speed. The ground wants a say.
So you have the accelerator bolted to the floor in D.C. and a few hundred local brake pedals scattered across the country. That is not a policy. That is a car with two drivers who hate each other.
One car, two drivers. And that collision is, I think, the real story of AI in 2026. Not a benchmark, a land use fight. The question is no longer only, can we build a smarter model? It is also, where on earth are we allowed to plug it in?
Which is wild, because on the model side, this exact week, the news could not have been more the opposite of stuck.
Right. While the build-out is hitting concrete and courtrooms, the models are sprinting. This week, Anthropic launched Claude Opus 5, its fourth flagship model in under 2 months.
4 flagship models in 2 months. At this point, Anthropic is not shipping models, they are just breathing and a new one falls out. I cannot keep the names straight, and it is my literal job.
Another one already? And Opus 5 is not a small step. Reports put it at roughly the intelligence of their top prior model, Fable 5, at about half the price, with a 1 million token context window and a low, medium, and high effort toggle to trade cost for capability per request.
Frontier intelligence at half price with an effort dial. So the software is getting cheaper, smarter, and more flexible every 3 weeks. And the hardware to run it is getting sued, paused, and voted down. Those two trends are on a collision course, and nobody scheduled the meeting.
That is the tension in one sentence. The intelligence is racing ahead and getting cheaper. The physical ability to deploy it is running into water tables, power grids, and the word no. The bottleneck of the AI era is quietly moving from silicon to soil.
From silicon to soil. Okay, that one gave me chills, and I say that as someone contractually obligated to undercut you.
So let us zoom out and be fair to every side here, because this is an investigation, not a verdict. The case for the build-out is real. This infrastructure powers tools people genuinely rely on, and there is a serious argument that whoever builds it leads the century.
Sure, nobody in Memphis is anti-progress. They are anti-breathing turbine exhaust they did not vote for. Those are extremely different positions, and pretending they are the same is how you lose the whole argument.
And the case for the resistance is just as real. Communities are asking to be consulted, to see the environmental review, to not personally subsidize a data center on their water and their power bill. That is not radical. That is a permit line.
The most reasonable revolution in history. Their entire demand is, please fill out the paperwork correctly and ask us first. Storm the Bastille, but for zoning compliance.
for zoning compliance. So where does this go? Our read, after following the filings, is that the industry is entering a new phase. The easy era, where you could quietly buy land and build, is closing. The next phase is negotiated, with towns, with courts, with the grid itself.
Which means the most valuable hire at an AI company next year might not be a researcher. It might be a really good local government relations person who knows how to run a town hall without starting a lawsuit.
It genuinely might. And for you, the person watching, here is why this matters even if you never see a data center. Your electricity price, your local water, and who gets a vote in your town are now part of the AI story. You are already in it.
You did not sign up for the AI race, and it moved in down the street anyway. The least you can do is know the score. That is kind of the whole point of this desk.
So this week's investigation leaves us with one clean takeaway. The AI race is no longer only being decided in labs and on leaderboards. It is being decided in courtrooms, at council meetings, and on utility bills. The frontier moved. It is in your backyard now.
And if a retired school teacher named Carol with a laser pointer can pause a $1 billion Google project, then honestly, democracy is doing a little better than the internet gives it credit for.
Carol for the win. If this is the kind of reporting you want more of, the deep dive that follows the water and the money instead of the hype, tell us in the comments what we should investigate next. And subscribe, because next week, the leaderboards will be loud again. And we will be here for that too.
Comment your town's weirdest utility bill story. Comment which turbine defense is funnier. They have wheels or they are mobile. I read them all. I frame the unhinged ones. The wall is thriving.
That is our Sunday investigation. The models got cheaper, the water got scarcer, the courts got busier, and the AI race quietly relocated from the cloud to the county. Thank you for following it with us all the way down. I am Maki.
And I am Kai. This has been the Build Log, Investigative Edition. Keep your models smart, your permits filed, your water local, and your city council awake. We will see you next time.